Okay, this is a video I was going to make yesterday, but I decided not to. So if you got an alert stating that I made a video, don't worry, this is actually a capture. So there were some things I didn't mention in the other video, and I thought that it would probably be wise to take the video over and then go into a little bit more detail, because it could have been misleading, and I don't want to mislead anybody. Again, as I was stating last time, this is not legal advice. Don't take my word for it. Do the research and look into it yourself. This is basically an exposition of history, and this is one of the things that I really like. This is one of my hobbies, is history and law. So what I'm about to do is to expose some truths that most people don't know about. And I'm going to read some of it because I wrote it down to kind of get my thoughts a little bit clearer. But hopefully it'll be seamless and it won't seem like I'm reading. But anyway, what I want to talk today about is the Constitution of the United States. Because a lot of people, when they speak about patriotism and liberty, they refer to the Constitution of the United States. And part of the reason why this is a huge mistake is because of how this was implemented. You see, the Bill of Rights are actually more privilege than rights. And you say, well, how can you say that? Well, because of the way they were implemented to begin with. What most people don't know is that all U.S. code, and you can find this at the beginning of the U.S. code book, no matter what edition it is, you can find at the very beginning that the U.S. code is governed by organic law. Now, what is organic law? Well, they list what that organic law is. Organic law is based off of natural law. If you've ever done any reading about Thomas Paine and some of the other people that formulated a lot of these ideas, you can find out what the natural law is, and then as a natural progression from that, they wrote the Declaration of Independence. This is the first document that's listed in U.S. code as being the source of all U.S. code or law. Next in line is the Articles of Confederation. This was the document that established the Confederation of the United States of America. And this is the true Constitution of the United States of America. And third in line, and this is what the Articles of the Confederation were supplanted by eventually, was the Northwest Ordinance and the Constitution of the United States, which is actually a corporation or an administrative entity that governs all of the affairs of the United States of America. So basically what I'm saying is that the crooks who wrote the Constitution tricked the free individuals of the United States of America into giving up their free citizenship and becoming citizens of a corporation. And this is law. This is fact. This is what happened. This is history. In exchange for them giving up their citizenship from the United States of America, or as I would like to call it, it's sort of an incentive or a lure, because the framers of the Constitution understood that people weren't just going to willingly give up their freedoms. They guaranteed the citizens of the United States of America a Bill of Rights if they would become citizens of a corporation. Now, people didn't understand this, what they were giving up, but the Bill of Rights sounded good, so they said, okay, fine, we will. And basically, essentially what they did, because they wouldn't have willingly done it otherwise without the Bill of Rights, they gave up their rights as privileges. Now, why is this important to understand this? Because if we go back to the Declaration of Independence, and natural law, what does it say? These truths are self-evident, that all men are created equal, and that they all have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. These are self-evident laws. This is why they weren't written in the Articles of Confederation, because they were self-evident. Okay? So, the only way that people would be willing to become citizens of the United States, as opposed to free individuals of the United States of America, was if they were guaranteed a Bill of Rights in writing. And it was kind of a trick, is what I'm saying. Now, why doesn't that really carry any weight? Well, since they were reorganized into the United States instead of the United States of America, and they exchanged their freedom for privilege, this is why it's null and void. There's no way to prove that one is a citizen of a legal fiction. You cannot be a citizen of a company. You can, however, prove that you have a birth certificate stating that you were born in a particular location. So, since they can't prove you're a citizen of the United States, because that's a legal fiction, and not a free natural person, their jurisdiction cannot be enforced over you. You see, you don't live on state property or federal property, and you were not born on federal or state property, or if you were, for some strange reason, you no longer live there, and your birth certificate is not going to say that you lived on that property. It's going to put a township down, and it's going to explain that you were born in a particular place, but it doesn't get that specific. So, there's no way to prove that you're living or were living on their property or were born on their property. So there's no way to prove that you are a citizen of a corporation. And they can only enforce their jurisdiction on anyone residing on federal property or state property. And this is why they lock people up. It's one of the many reasons why they lock people up, so that their enforcement has greater efficacy. Now, once you leave that federal or state property, their jurisdiction can no longer be extended against you. A lot of people don't know this. And they just assume that the jurisdiction of the government, or the administrative body that handles the affairs of the people, actually extends beyond the property held by the government. That means that taxes and other unlawful practices that they try to enforce have no weight. They're null and void. But a lawyer's not going to tell you this. They work for the state, all of them. This is why they have to pass the bar. They become a part of the government. What they do provide is a service for a fee that will either lessen the impact of the law on the individual, or find a middle ground that satisfies both the individual and the state entity, or in some cases to provide a workaround. Now, another thing that's interesting is that the law cuts both ways. Right now, since the Bill of Rights is actually a list of privileges according to U.S. Code and according to their assumptions that they think you already know about, they use this as a way to just step all over the Constitution, because it's really just a list of privileges to them. And it gives them the weight that they need to do that. But what they're doing with this also is that they are accusing people of insurrection beforehand, and they are taking measures to quell insurrection beforehand. However, because we have to go back to the natural law, the Declaration and the Articles of Confederacy, to see what laws really apply to free individuals of the several states, we find that the United States of America supersedes the authority of the United States Corporation. So the people are actually the real government. And so if you apply the U.S. Code to that principle, we find that they are supposed to be acting in behalf of and for the benefit of the people in its administration. Okay? So, in order to prove that the officials, in their capacity, are actively seeking to destroy the government, which is the people, by definition, if you go back to the organic law, and they're seeking to overthrow the people, this is treason. This is real treason. Not what we say is treason. We have to go back all the way to organic law to really find the power in it. So they are seeking to overthrow the people, and this is treason because their job is supposed to be for the benefit of the people instead of the detriment of the people. And they're breaking this very serious law by gearing up to attack Americans. Now, they won't tell you this because they assume you already know, or they use your ignorance of the law as consent. But ignorance is not consent. You cannot consent to a law that you don't know about, and you cannot consent to a law that was passed before you were born. So that law is null and void, because one of the first rules of the organic law, and this is what governs all U.S. code now, is that laws can only be made by Congress by the consent of the governed. So we have to know about them, we have to agree with them, and we have to okay our representatives voting on it. If they don't do this, then there is no law. And this trickery is something that no politician or lawyer wants any free natural citizen to know about. They do not want you to know any of this. They also don't want you to know the proper wording for things because, unlike what most people assume, not just Miranda rights, when you're getting picked up as accused of a crime, but any time that you step into a court of law or are in a legal hearing or proceeding, whether you're in a court or not, anything that you say or do can and will be used against you. So you have to know how to properly weave your use of words. Now, if that's not a reason to be educated and articulate, I don't know what is. Anyway, that's all I got for today. I hope you enjoyed this little tidbit of information and it sparked your interest in U.S. code and organic law. So, do your research, look at it. If you find anything that's different from what I'm saying, remember, go back to the organic law. Go back to natural law. Go back to the Declaration of Independence, the Articles of the Confederacy. And those are the real laws that govern or are actually enforceable against the individual, not the administrative law. And a lot of people don't know this, but there has been precedents and case law where people have actually escaped taxes or certain charges simply because they know this. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this, and hope I've got more videos to put up later. All right, bye.